This is Hector Barbossa. Now, most of you recognize him as the villain in the Pirates of the Caribbean film series. But perhaps what most of you don't know is that Hector Barbossa was based upon a man that defended the honor of Islam in the 16th century and became the greatest admiral of the sea in history. It's sad to say that most of you don't know his story, but if you watch this, you certainly will. The Mediterranean in the 16th century was an age of pirates, privateers, and corsairs. In 1492, a dark cloud had enveloped the Islamic world. Spain had completed the reconquista of the Iberian Peninsula, and the once glorious Islamic civilization known as Al-Andalus was gone.
Ya Allah, Awinna.
With the Muslim population at their mercy, hundreds of thousands were forcibly converted to Christianity, with some 200,000 desperately fleeing into North Africa. But the Spanish were following. Emboldened with crusading zeal, they began occupying coastal towns in North Africa. The Muslim world was facing a serious threat. But around this time, some 1,500 miles away on the island of Lesbos, another story was unfolding. Yaqub Ah, a retired Ottoman Sipahi, had 4 sons: Ishaq, Uruch, Hizr, and Ilyas, who assisted their father in his pottery business. But on one fateful day, when Uruch and Ilyas were returning from a trading expedition in the Levant, they were ambushed by the Knights of the Order of St. John.
Ilyas!
Uruch was captured and imprisoned, and the youngest of the brothers, Ilyas, was killed. Upon learning of the disappearance of his brothers, Hizr scoured the seas in search of them, until he discovered the location of his brother Uruch in Bodrum Castle on the island of Rhodes. And so Hizr stormed into Bodrum and rescued his brother Uruch.
Abe.
And fled to safer waters. The death of Ilyas had burned them.
Abe. Inna Allah ma'as-sabirin, Hizr.
For too long, the piracy and privateering of Spain, Portugal, and the Italian states had wreaked havoc upon Muslim traders in the Mediterranean. With no unified Muslim maritime power operating in the Mediterranean, Muslim traders were bloodied meat in a sea of sharks.
Ya Rabbul Alameen.
So the two brothers took it upon themselves to defend the honor of Muslims in the Mediterranean and answer the call of the oppressed.
Hizr. Haydi bismillah. Ya Allah!
commandeering Spanish, Portuguese and Venetian vessels, the brothers would grow their fleet. And as the names of the brothers grew in fame, so did the number of men willing to be by their side to fight the good fight. Providing safe passage for thousands of Andalusian refugees into North Africa, they became heroes in the eyes of the Islamic world.
Que tu sia maledetto Barbarossa!
But notorious in the eyes of the Christian world, with the two red-bearded brothers named Barbarossa, meaning Redbeard in Italian, a name that would forever cling to their legacy. And in 1516, the two brothers would make history in establishing the first ever Corsair state by ridding Algiers of its Spanish puppet ruler, with Uruch race its sultan. Despite being few in number, the two brothers had caused the Mediterranean to rumble, but had also made them a wanted target. In 1518, in the city of Tlemcen, Uruch, now joined by his eldest brother Ishaq, were overwhelmed by 10,000 Spanish soldiers and killed. The legacy of the brothers now rested squarely on the shoulders of Hizir. Assuming the leadership position of his brother, Hizir submitted Algiers to the Ottomans and became a Corsair for the rising Islamic power. And the rumbling of the Mediterranean that the two brothers once caused turned into a shuddering of its floorbed. As over the next 10 years, Hizir race would expand Ottoman control across North Africa. As the axis of power in the Mediterranean began to turn. The maritime genius of Hizir race had become legendary and had exposed the weakness of the Ottomans' own imperial fleet. And so in 1533, he was summoned to Istanbul.
Destur! In which Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent appointed him Kappadun Pasha, the Grand Admiral of the Ottoman Navy. Hizir reis, bundan böyle Hayreddin olacaksın.
And was bestowed the name Hayreddin, meaning best of the faith. The son of a potter had now been catapulted into the stratosphere, into the upper echelons of the Ottoman imperial court, commanding a fleet 5 times the size of the one he did as a Corsair. And now, the Christian states operating in the Mediterranean were firmly put on notice. In particular, the King of Spain, the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V, who was nervous that his reign of dominance in the Mediterranean may be coming to an end. But it was the Pope who concocted a plan to put an end
to Hayreddin Barbarossa.
Barbarossa deve morire.
By calling for a holy league of Christian naval powers, a collection of Christian states the likes of which the world had never seen, assembled for one purpose, to put an end to Hayreddin Barbarossa. And so they came together. The Republic of Venice, the Spanish Habsburgs, the Knights of the Order of St. John, the Republic of Genoa, and the Papal States, led by the infamous Genoese Admiral, Andrea Doria. On the 28th of September 1538, near Preveza in the Ionian Sea, the Holy League assembled with a fleet comprised of 60,000 men, 162 galleys, 140 ships, and 2,500 cannons. Dwarfing the Hayreddin Barbarossa-led fleet of 12,000 men, 122 galleys, no ships, and 366 cannons. Odds that were insurmountable. For the last 20 years, his race had caused the Mediterranean to tremble. But on this day, the trembling ended. As he lifted the Mediterranean, then drove it down. Relying upon his galleys that depended on oars, as opposed to the ships of the Holy League that depended on the wind, Hayreddin Barbarossa smashed the Holy League, capturing 36 ships without losing a single galley, firmly establishing Ottoman dominance in the Mediterranean for the next 3 decades, and making the era of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent the apex of Ottoman history. For the legacy of Hayreddin Barbarossa is not to be left in the hands of the West, but to be lifted and raised by his Muslim children, to be remembered as a man who defended the honor of Islam and became the greatest name to sail the sea, as a man born son of a potter, who rose to become Cappadun Pasha, Hayreddin Barbarossa.